Okay, so we're here with another edition of our Centenary Podcast to celebrate our 100 years. And today we have none other than club legend and county legend, Kieran Keeney, joining us from Donegal Town. Kieran, as everybody knows, played almost 40 years with the club and a long county career as well, with many highlights and, of course, lowlights as well. Kieran, we're very delighted to have you here. You're very welcome.
Thank you, John.
Good to see you. Good to see you again. Good to see you in good form. Okay, we're just going to, as you've probably been watching the podcast along the way, and we're just really trying to chat to fellas, club greats over the years, and just tell their story as such, because there's a lot of stuff that people know. People know about probably all the county stuff and that kind of stuff, but we're going to go try and cover your whole career in the space of less than an hour, which won't be easy, but we will do our best with it. Kieran, just looking back on starting off, as you were born in 1952, the year that the club minors won the championship, and probably the J school was your first involvement, really, when you first got a football in your hand as such.
Yeah, the school leagues or the parish leagues, were being called at the time. When the J used to have a team playing McConnell or Halhead, Brocky, different schools, and there was a couple of competitions one time. I remember as playing against Halhead for beating the J. I was on the 10 at the time.
Right.
We were playing, and at that time we went to national to 14. I remember playing against Halhead. Big Edward O'Donnell was playing midfield for Halhead, and at the time he was throwing through our defence, and I tried to block him, and he kicked me further than the ball.
Edward was a big man and a fine player, and he was one of the
fine footballer he was too.
He was indeed, yeah. John was very involved that team, obviously, and obviously coming from your own house between John and Packy and Michael and James and all. You were probably holding the football from you were out of the cot.
Oh yeah, that was the first game I played, if you know what I mean, official game.
Yes.
That was just within the school itself. And we also played then side from Derry on the 9.5 or the 10 as well at the same time. And that's the first game was hard.
That was kind of unheard of at the time, really, Kieran, playing the game that young.
We were playing against a Derry team. It must have been visitors or something. I don't know how it came about, but we got a game against them and they played a wing half back.
Right.
I remember Joe Larry giving me the jersey. I'll never forget it.
Nice jersey Joe Larry gave to the young fellas that time.
Right. He was a great old character.
That's right. And that Derry, there's a lot of fellas in that era speaking about that Derry trip. It was obviously a huge deal at the time. That was around the time the team won the schoolboy championship in '62.
Yeah, I mean, it was probably because I would be 10 years of age at the time.
You were hoping you were wanting to be playing, but you were just too young at the time. Probably that was a strong team too.
Yeah, they were a good side. Like I probably didn't even know half the guys were playing for our job because we had never been dealing with. There was never much football between the townlands or.
The parish league at the time was kind of John was the main instigator behind it. It was really a stepping stone for it. It launched a lot of stuff during the '60s from an underage point of view.
It was more the finishing end of it. I came in because Peter Oliver and Matt McNeil's nose were in their heyday, and Charlie Donovan, they were a year or two older than me, so I was kind of young to play in those competitions. It's only the latter years when it was kind of nearly finished, and we came to 4.
Yes, and you probably on the 14th was the first time really on an official club team then, Kieran, probably.
Yeah, that was it. We played on the 14 for a couple of years, but it was very poor structure to it. We didn't have much of a team. There was no training done or no coaching done at the time.
Yeah. And I suppose there weren't too many games altogether in a year.
Well, the biggest problem was the team you were playing against them days were mostly illegal.
I know. We spoke with Packy about that too. Packy played a few years himself. He was close to the line from an age point of view. And that time, I suppose everybody was at it.
Oh yeah, I mean we played I think Kildare in the county semi-final on the 14, and I remember I was a couple of months over age. Myself and Bart McHugh were taking down Joe and I to do a bus with him just in case Kildare might be playing a few. At the dress there and Twitton, the Kildare team went out onto the field. And we see that they were there were a few juveniles on the door on the 14 side. So we drew with them, and then we replayed them again in Letterkenny, and we took down half of our juvenile team. They arrived with the minor team. We played them again. We drew again, and we didn't go back for the third match. So now we're playing Ballyshan. To get over, now we're playing Ballyshan, the county final and final.
Is that right? Right. Sure.
The team against them.
It was kind of par for the course that time.
It was, yeah. You had to have a few.
Yeah, you had a few ringers, as the man says.
There were a few small light fellas that looked on the range. Used to be object to Big John for years.
Big John probably was the real age. He was just that big that he looked over age.
I did. He was on the age here to God.
Yeah. You went on to the McDevitt Institute now, or what would be probably the Compass Institute as it's the place now, but that time was the McDevitt Institute, Kieran, that you would have that would have been a big stepping stone in your football career.
Yeah, it was because we had the benefit of Clumba McTayer, who was a phenomenal coach. I mean, he spent hours and hours with us, not alone on the field, but in the Iona Hall there, several nights giving us going with the blackboard out, which was way years ahead of anybody else. Telling us where to kick the ball to and where to pass the ball to and where to stand when you're marking a man, and the basics of football. There wasn't many teams could have an All Ireland winner coaching them that time, Kieran, as Clumba McTayer was with Gavin in 47. I mean, we didn't even. He was such a pleasant man that we didn't even think about him as being an All Ireland winner. Such a honest and spoke so honestly, and he cared about us, like.
Yes.
I remember us playing down in Maharayan one day, an awful storm. We played against Scott Ark, and it was an absolute gale force in Maharayan. And Clumba was a very busy man, of course, and he didn't arrive to half time. And we were playing with the breeze the first half, we were only a goal to point ahead. In the second half, we heard Clumba's voice shouting on the sideline. The whole team just took off.
Oh, surely. And he was a big factor them years. And there's a strong team, obviously, between yourselves and the Glenties lads, and that kind of probably mushroomed into the team where the two clubs joined in the 60s for the underage championships.
Oh, there were some great footballers there. I mean, I remember playing the minor county final second year. I missed it because I got an appendix out. And on the sideline, we had about 4 fellas who were walking on a county minor team. Surely to God.
Yeah. There was the first I think was the juvenile in '68. I think was the first time he's won that grade.
Yeah, as a trip to All Ireland, which was the winners of the under 16 champion that year. PG's plan put a phenomenal effort into that. I mean, every weekend, at least once or twice a week, he used to call to my house to find out how I was, how everybody else was, how Josie was doing, and how Big John was doing. Just kept calling around every week. Jeremy Dermot and myself.
He was a huge influence on the players in them days, PG's plan. And
see, there was no phones, obviously, at the time. The only way to contact somebody is to write them or drive to them. And he'd round up his team every weekend. He called every house.
He was another man, probably was ahead of his time, Kieran.
Oh, I was, surely.
It must have been a very strong team between the both clubs at that stage. There would have been a lot of good footballers, both your own lads, and then you had the likes of Pat Eamon and Jeremy Dermot and Daniel McGeehan and them kind of fellas.
Yeah, I mean, Frankie Rogers and Billy Gilday, and they were all quality footballers.
Yes.
When they won them, they played county minor for the next 2 years.
Yes. And then obviously you said you county minors yourself, Kieran. You would have been in both around 69, 70. You played a couple of years county minor.
Yeah, I played for 2 years county minor. Again, the county minor was poorly organised at the time. Minor football in the county. I mean, Donegal were beaten in the first round most years. That was par for the course.
Yes.
It wasn't that way we hadn't good enough footballers, but just the coaching wasn't there. We didn't even know some of the players that were out in the field.
Yeah, it was probably a lack of effort. Probably at the time was probably the main reason for it. On the county board's behalf.
I suppose, yeah. I mean, the Northern Ireland had it was the colleges where football was bred in some. You know, the opportunities playing with each other much more and against each other. Where we were at, okay, the tech was good enough, but it wasn't a high enough standard.
Yes.
Compete with the Memorial Cup teams, you know.
It was a different playing field altogether, the college's football at that stage.
Aye. So it was, we were left lagging behind for years.
I know, surely, and probably, obviously, there's probably still this situation, really, that college's football in the north is stronger than schools football here, but probably the standard of football in Donegal is a lot higher now, obviously, at underage level. You were kind of floating or getting close to breaking into the senior team that time, Kieran. You were probably had started in Telecom at that stage, had you?
Started in 1970.
Or in the P&T, as you'd say.
The P&T. Yeah, I started in 1987. I was I won the junior county championship the same year. I played I missed the county final because of my appendix again. I got appendix in 1970. So I missed the junior county final, the minor final, and the senior final. But the senior final the replay wasn't for about 2 months.
That's right.
November, and I came back to the college in Dundalk to play corner forward in the replay.
That was a huge one at the time. Obviously, they had won the junior 67, but it was a huge one at the time for the club.
I mean, we won the double as well, and we played Bundoran in the final of the league as well in Fintra. Josie Gallagher, God rest him, was ever been field against Brendan McEwen and Declan Carroll. There
was a real team of all-stars here in the Bundoran team.
Or a strong side now. Ed Miguel played his heart out those games. Partnership with Brannon for 3 matches. Don't think he scored. Don't think he scored in 3 games.
Aidan was a tough half-back. The Miguel brothers were a big influence that time, Kieran.
All right. They were quality footballers. Big managers, a fine player too. Faced with a powerful centre-half. We lost them all at a young age to football.
Yes, that's right. Enda was a real up and coming star at the time. It would be the next White Hope. And then Declan obviously too. They were all class. I remember growing up across the road from them. They were a great influence on us as young fellas too.
Aidan was very tenacious.
They were all good footballers at the time. I suppose they moved around the country then, went through their work and everything else, and probably.
Yeah.
I suppose Aidan would have played on through the 70s though.
He did, yeah. He played right up to about probably mid-70s or later.
That's right, yeah. But after that junior success in 70, things would kind of took a wee bit of a downward slope in the club, but that's for a while, for a number of years.
Yeah, we played Glenties in the first round of Championship in 71, and that was a mall match. At least 3 games played in, and the time the third match was over, we had no team left. Robert was injured, Frank McGee was injured, Frankie Campbell was injured. You know, it was a whole list. It
was tough matches where they played. Was it home and away that time as well, Kieran, and third game?
Home and away in the third match. We played McCools in the semi-final, and McCools went on to win the county final.
Right. It was still a strong enough team, and obviously St. Joseph would have dominated that team, really.
Well, Joseph weren't that well strong in 71. There's more. McCools won the championship in 72, 71, I think it was. But we had a very, very good team that time. Probably one of the best teams in the club in 71. Just we're unfortunate we met the wrong team and Rain McClenny's would have. Clenny's had to go through, there'd be no better. After being injured, it's been an injury.
I know, surely. The rivalry was still going strong at that time. I suppose the fact that you had played together for the previous 3 or 4 years in underage would have added to the rivalry, really.
Oh, it would have been, yeah, it would have been, because I was marking Jeremy Taylor in the first match. You know. He gave me a roasting, I marked him in the second half and he didn't let me get a kick out.
Jerry was a great player, I think.
I was a fine player, and he was gutsy, he was tough. He was pacey as well.
He was. You were kind of breaking into the county team at that stage, Kieran. You were in 72, but you were in college that time, which probably affected you getting into the squad.
I was the panel in 70. I was the panel in 71 to the National League, and the National League 71, 72. But I was doing my final exams in the college from Easter to summer, and 72 when Donegal won. So I pulled out of the panel. That's when Donegal won their first Ulster title.
Yes.
Well, I wasn't in the panel, back into the panel and again for the National League in 72, 73.
73. What Donegal would have been well down the divisions that time, Kieran, probably even after one Ulster Championship.
Yeah, Division 3 all the time.
Right. You had some tight journeys probably, and tight pitches.
Tipperary and Lee Shoffley and Wexford. And most of those teams were Division 2, but we were Division 3 at the time.
And obviously 74 then was probably your big breakthrough then, and won an Ulster Championship that year. You were regular on the team at that stage.
Well, yeah, I was starting to get a more regular position on this team.
You got the goal in the Ulster final then that clinched the game at 74.
Yeah, well, but I was not lucky to be frustrated at the end of it. It was rare the fact that we were 9 points down, I think, that game.
Yes.
We managed.
And obviously the semi-final against Galway that year. I just felt you had a good chance that day against Galway in that semi-final.
We thought we had. Galway was a big name at the time, but really that's all they had was a big name. We weren't really the team that the game was over before we realised that should have won it, But,
probably the occasion.
Losing Boner McConnell was a big blow to us that day as well. She was Boner was the main target man. It was a big loss to us.
But it was a strong team when you talk about it, McAnuff and Seamus Boner, Pádraig McShea, Andy Curran, you had a strong, Joe Winston, you had a strong outfit the whole way through, Martin Kearney.
Hugh McClafferty and Andy Curran, Donal Monaghan, they were all fine. They were a fine team.
It was a fine team, surely. Probably should have won more at the time, Kieran.
I should have, surely. The quality was there, the standard was there. But again, I don't know whether the coaching was up to the quality of it. There was no real coaching being done. The first time I even noticed any on nights when out here.
All right, Kieran.
There we are.
You're all right, Kieran. Hey, that's live. That's live television for you now.
So, saying there,
we're on about 1974. The coach for the following years.
Yeah, the first real coaching Donegal I've ever seen was in 1975 when John Hannigan took over. He brought in Joe Lennon from County Down to coach the team for every Saturday for about 4 or 5 weeks. And then we went about 12 or 15 footballs, which we'd never heard of before.
Right.
We had one football, he might have 2 at the most. But he brought in about 10 or 12 footballers. The ball went every 2 minimum. We thought this was crazy stuff. That was the end of the foot. Never seen as many balls out in the field.
And to get in and outside man that team would have been a huge controversial move, Kieran.
There's a walk through the McKenna Cup that team. We were beaten by Cavan and Balmafay by big old lady. Came on as a sub and ruled midfield for 15 minutes and got a couple of points. To win by a point. I must say, the very last kick of the game, I came a ball across from the thing and I punched it for the net, and I was certain it was the net hit the ground, hit the crossbar, and straight back out to a Cavan man.
That's that right, Jeepers.
Last kick of the game, we would have won by 2 points.
Right.
I was sure I had it.
Jeepers, close. And Cavan won that. Cavan was strong enough that team as well, obviously.
They were a reasonable side, Ollie Brady and Ollie Liddy would have been the 2 main men at the time.
Yeah.
And King, Cavan were sort of reasonable side at the time,
John would have been a player, coach, player manager, really. Would he have been, Kieran? John Hannigan?
No, he was gone at that stage. He wasn't playing. No, he played in the Balance 74. He was the Balance 74, all right.
Right.
Wasn't playing. He came back. I think he played later on as well.
And after that, there was who'd go over the team after that? Would have been Sheridan was involved at that stage as well. He was involved by the time the team got to the final 79.
Yes, I mean, I think that was his first year, not. I think that was his first year in charge.
So Sweeney had joined you in the panel at that stage, Martin.
Martin Sweeney, yeah, Martin was playing very well that time.
Probably should have got more county football too, Kieran.
I should have, yeah, you know. Well, the biggest problem was, I suppose, Sean wasn't the sort of, discipline wouldn't be high on his list.
That's right.
He enjoyed a good time himself. He didn't mind some of the boys having a good time either, some of them were.
That was a fellow play the weekend.
And yeah, we had a good side as well that time. You know, the 79 team was a good team.
It was.
You know, we had lost Paul McGeehan and Martin Kearney wasn't pulled out.
That would have been probably a sign of the things that Paul McGettigan and Kearney. Kearney was a huge loss, obviously going to Mayo, and he probably would have stayed if things were better.
Yeah, if things had been a bit more organised. Martin felt he was losing, wasting his time.
Yes, travelling up and down from Mayo.
I mean, he was probably one of the most committed players we had over the years. He gave fantastic service.
I was a brilliant player. At that stage, too, Kieran, obviously the club things had progressively got better, and towards the end of 78, 79, 80, we were starting to compete with the big boys again. Obviously, there was a lot of good players coming on, and like, was it the Shield, the Gaeltacht and the Shields were the first kind of breakthroughs for that team?
Yeah, I mean, it was a great. I mean, things started. Club never came back from America. I remember the AGM in the courthouse. I remember proposing Francie to her chairman. Francie was getting old moving on at the time. And Clumber says he would take it over instead. Clumber took over chairman, and he told me, I remember saying to me, he says, if it cost me my last pub, he said, I'll make a team of this time. He did.
Nothing much has changed since, Kieran.
No, he's still there.
Still there. Right, but obviously, there was a good team at the time, Kieran.
Yeah, I mean, we I don't know where it came out of really, because we didn't have any. Not many of them were involved in the minors. One of the minor teams altogether, only a few of them.
Yeah.
I mean, the fellas that were involved, like Big John, had gone off to England for a good while, and Colin Campbell and Jimmy Campbell had gone, and John Sweeney and Marina had gone. They were all the fellas on the minor team. So there wasn't very many of them left.
Yes.
Our team was made up of 4 or 5 average teams.
Yeah.
Came together and the amazing thing is it took us a long time to win a senior championship. We should have won the ones earlier, 79, especially 79.
That's right.
Glenn won it.
That's right. It was 78. It was Glenn in the first round, and I think it was 78 the year Glenn won it, and they beat us in the first round in the playoff. And I think the playoff in Chucallan Park was the beat us to put us out of it. They went on to win the championship. That was in 78.
Yeah, I was injured that day. I played corner forward. I was ready for the walk. Probably a knee cartilage or something.
That was a big factor, obviously. Obviously, Nave Columba, a strong team at the time. They had a very strong squad.
And Glen were a good side then, in fairness.
The Southwest was the Southwest between Glen and Kilcarn and our lads. Killybegs hadn't come to the fore at that stage, but it was a strong competition.
It was, I mean, between Four Masters were fairly strong as well at the time.
That's right.
I mean, between the 4 or 5 clubs there, we dominated the county scene for a few years.
That's right. Obviously, the first county final in 80 was obviously, and us probably raging hot favourites that day was a big disappointment. But I suppose you have to lose one to win one, as the old saying goes.
Yeah, well, that's. Like enough said to me, he would have 5 county titles won, a bit of in charge of that.
I sure to God, yeah. Sure.
He knew the talent was there, like it was just a matter of getting it out.
Yeah. But at least the following year in '81, we came back and got one step further.
Yeah, well, I mean, it was, in fairness, it was the poorest team we had in about 4 years. I thought that way.
Yeah.
But we knew how to win.
Yeah.
There was a difference.
It was, as you say, there were probably stronger teams in the previous 1 or 2 years, but didn't play well on the day either.
No, I mean, it was a poor county final.
Yeah.
We don't know, we probably did. Maybe we were just getting so close for so often. Afraid of winning.
I know, yeah. Obviously, it was kind of probably fear, a lot of it. Yourself and Frank would have toiled. Obviously, to this day, you're still toiling on the golf course and everything else. You're great friends, and you would have travelled together. Frank O'Donnell, Kieran, over the years, you would have put up thousands of miles, leaving from P&T places all over the country to play for the club. Obviously, there would have been a lot of good memories there.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many fellas give so much commitment. Like Frank was one of the most reliable fellas. I mean, if Frank said he was going to be there, Frank was there. There was you didn't have to go ringing him or writing to him or calling to him. You just seen the fixture in the paper and he would leave our address saying with 14 miles and don't worry, Frank O'Donnell will be there. And he was like, another man was called Andy Harkin, who never let us down. Still, just
still there,
yeah.
Still involved. The P&T, that team, Kieran, that the firm's competition, that team would have been a big competition, and obviously the P&T would have had a strong team at the time.
Yeah, the firms was actually a very high standard in a lot of counties. I played at the firms in Galway, Sligo, Mayo, and Galway. And it was very, very high, particularly Galway had a very high standard, the firms, because there were a couple of very big factories there, digital, actually 400 or 500 fellas, men working it. And the army down there as well, based in Galway as well, and the Major Yard Centre. So the CAE had a big base there as well. So it was I won the firms in 4 counties in 1 year.
4 counties, one. I wonder that wouldn't have been too legal, I suppose.
Well, it wasn't illegal at all. P&T. When I was on the travel staff, I was working a lot in Galway and Mayo and Sligo and Donegal. So Galway would ring me to say the game on Friday night or Wednesday night or Tuesday night. We would go down to play with them as well.
Sure, God, it was keeping you fit as well during the week when you were away.
It was great.
And there would have supposed to be a good few county players involved too, Kieran.
Otherwise, all the county fellas were involved, and they said Galway in particular, Mayo to a lesser degree. Galway had virtually all the county players were playing for some team or other.
Yes. The P&T was a big job, that team. It was a great job to get into at the time.
It was a great job. I mean how it survived, I don't know.
That's right. As it went on in the 80s, Kieran, that obviously the county was starting to show a bit of promise again, and obviously the under-21 one in '82 would have been a big springboard, and it probably pushed the team on in '83 to win the Ulster again. I remember you were taken down in the Ulster final that day for a penalty against Cavan. That was a strong team coming on.
Yeah, that was a good say. I mean, '83 said she should have won All Ireland. I mean, there's no doubt about it. And it was a fiasco against Galway, really. We've lost that game because Galway were a very, very average team. I mean, I don't think we'll ever get over that loss because it was one we should have won. Didn't you, Charlie McGrew was the semi-final or stage was a big blow to us because Charlie was playing brilliant football that year.
Yeah, he was a great centre forward.
He was flying just. I mean, he never recovered after that injury.
It was obviously Valdeli's goal. That fluke goal of Valdeli's that day was a kind of the killer blow.
2 missed kicks. And the man hitting the free had missed kick the free.
That's right.
Valdeli missed kick the ball.
That's right. And obviously they went on to Dublin weren't that strong really that year. That was the day that the 12 finished with 12 men each in the final that year. The early Dublin, that's right. But it was one, obviously, it should have been the first All-Ireland, really, Kieran.
Oh, it should have been, yeah. I mean, there's no doubt it should have been in the final that year. Again, we were operating our Division 3, I think, at the time, you know. And you didn't realise how Galway were Division 1 team. You thought they were great, but you didn't realise that they were no better than we were.
Yeah, and probably it was too late by the time you did.
It was too late for them to realise that they were well beatable, you know.
There's some great characters in them teams too, Kieran. Obviously, there'll be a lot of stories, and maybe stories you mightn't be able to tell here. But you know, you had obviously big Griffin and like some even Porrick Carr and them kind of fellas. There was always some kind of strokes being pulled.
And there was always a banter going on. I mean, Porrick Carr being of the different face to McConnell. When it comes to politics,
I know, surely.
There's always a banter, you know.
Sure to God, yeah.
And those great characters, like, I mean, like, I only spent about a year or so with John Hannigan, like, and he was a great character, great.
Yeah.
He was great for the young fellas, Mickey Cross and myself and Michael Kieran, you know, he was very good to us when it was the county panel.
Yeah. He was a good man for encouraging. I think John Hannigan, he was very encouraging young players.
He was great. He knew how to take young fellas, how to encourage them and keep them going. And he was a fine player himself in his own right.
I played no more than yourself, Kieran. You played all over the pitch, and I would say, would it be true enough saying you played every position, only goals for the goal, probably?
I played in goals for the Sevens.
Oh, did you? Right. Very good.
On the field ground, I played for goals for the early Sevens. I played a lot of positions.
And it probably, it was whenever they were in trouble in a position, they probably put you there. You was looking through Father Shan's book there with all the teams the Donegal teams that played championship, and you were cornerback one day, you were wing half forward the next day, you were corner forward the next day. It was whatever there was trouble, and we'll put Keeney in there, it'll be all right.
Yeah, I was thrown into. I was put in the corner forward, playing corner forward. I mean, I really were never a forward. In my best position would have been I felt would be wing back.
Yeah.
I played mostly county football at corner forward, which was quite crazy.
It was.
So,
I mean, all your football for the club really was not obviously you played everywhere, but you know, for the half back line really that you were most effective, but you would have felt yourself.
I mean, it was a decision. Wing half back or centre back was what I preferred. Oh, but it wasn't to be all the time.
Well, and we mentioned Big Griffin there. Big Griffin was a fantastic footballer and a great character as well. Along with.
Oh yes, I mean he was a hound in the dressing room. Like, when you could repeat some of the stuff he's doing. Oh,
indeed, I used to hear stories from Anthony and the boys on the at work. Some of the stuff that Griffin used to come out with, and it definitely wouldn't be for family viewing.
No, not at all. No, he was a great character. He enjoyed the limelight, and he looked for limelight, but probably ended up couldn't handle it.
Oh, indeed, no.
On the day, he liked the macho image, and
he was, and every time he got the ball, the big catch, the big kick, and the crowd just used to go mad.
Oh yeah.
But it probably wasn't that effective. Probably wasn't that effective for the team, but it was.
He was. No, he just he loved that adulation, but as he couldn't handle it, then we had a few beers to take it all in.
That's right. And as the 80s went on then the club here, and obviously things would have dipped a wee bit in the mid-80s and that kind of stuff. We started coming back again, you know, with obviously the next big one was the league in 89-90. With the game against Kilcar, probably that was a big victory at the time.
Yeah, that was a kind of a came out of trying nothing as well. Like, I mean, we weren't producing any great football before that, but we were pretty consistent that year. And I suppose the fact that we just went to a top 2 playoff or a top 4 playoff. We didn't play. Kilcar finished actually top of the league. But we went to the playoff then. So it was a tough day's football in front of that day.
It was tough. It was tough as an understatement. It wasn't one for the faint-hearted that day. It was a dirty game of football between two close rivals. I remember it well.
There was a few fairly solid
challenges. Not that we know that you weren't. We know that you weren't involved in anything, Kieran. So
I was quarterback. I was away from action.
There obviously anyone that plays with you, obviously in the one train, obviously Keeney was a brilliant footballer and the best man ever to get a shot in when nobody would have seen it. That was always heard the fellas in your day saying that he was the best man to get his point across and nobody would ever see what happened.
You're in the rock of it, so you have to give him that one.
That's right. Then obviously that team, we had a good team at the time ourselves, but Kelly Beggs were a big factor, and you would have been managing the teams, and you would have managed a lot of club teams over the years, and probably the first one really that was a big victory was the 83 on the 21s that time against Arua.
Yeah,
Seven Conlade were in charge.
Yeah, that was a great achievement really, because we were a very young team. I know that I thought hit them probably minors, including yourself.
That's right, yeah. That's right. Yeah.
No, so it was a between me and Malloy and Jeremy Ellis, who were two class acts at the time.
That's right.
Anthony was phenomenal. He was ruled the middle of the field and ruled the whole of the field.
That's right. It was unbelievable. It was unbelievable. Them two games, I suppose. After the first day, they gave we had 10 players in the county squad that year, and after the first day, we were written off completely. But then Malloy stepped up again, and as did everybody else, and got us over the line.
There was a few phenomenal efforts that day. I mean, Paul Brennan was outstanding as well, and Jimmy and Dave Waters and Patrick Keller and
that's right, Eamon Cunningham and you had John Miguel, and you had a very strong side at the stage side at the time.
Because there was still 8 of them on the each, and like Polyshan were a very strong side at the time.
That's right. There was 8 from the minor team that won the championship that year.
Yeah.
And that was the year Units would have prevailed in the senior final. That was a disappointing day that in Balbafay.
It was because when you get them, St. Units were a poor side.
Yeah. See, we had a strong. We were getting on a roll that year, having won that minor under 21. It was,
The following year, then we against now St. Units were 9. It was 9 on 21 against St. Units that day.
That's right. And the following year against Four Masters was probably even we had a bigger disappointment. Really, that day was.
Yeah, we got off to a good start that day. We should have kept.
That's right. You got a goal that day early on. I think in the first attack, maybe.
First few minutes, Ian Paddy Gallagher got a point or 4 points up, I think. So in a very short time, which seemed to fade away.
But as you say, Four Masters obviously they were strong at the time. Joyce was was really coming to the fore that time, and I remember he was fantastic. He was brilliant that day.
He was great football, Joyce. He had great pace and very hard man to mark.
Yeah, brilliant in the air too.
He was very good that day now.
And as the 80s went on, then Kieran, obviously we spoke about the one in the league in 90, and Kelly Beggs had come on the scene in 88. Obviously, left us in the semi-final in Townie that year. Right. We had a strong team that time.
We had a good side that time. We should have beaten Kelly Beggs. The whole thing came down to how the ball was passed to me, and Thomas McBride to blow the whistle for a foul or something or other, and I kicked the ball to Seamus Geller, so we passed it. They took the ball in 10 yards, and his point free to win the game.
That's right. There were 2 strong teams at the time now, in fairness, and probably Kelly Beggs would have been our bogey team that stage for a number of years, and so you would have managed the team that for a lot of that period.
I was there involved for a few years there. I was involved in the Andre one as well for a few years at that age as well.
That's right.
But I remember the Sunday after Kelly Beggs played us in Townie, we were back in playing Kilcar in the league. And I remember Martin Sweeney came to me and said to me, it's like they've been out of month's mind.
Very good. David Sweeney, he didn't say much, but what he did say it was worthless.
That's what it felt like, just as right. Didn't want to see a ball after, especially if we want to play Kilcar after knocked out.
I know. You were right for plucking the following Sunday of playing Kilcar, and they would have no mercy.
No mercy, right.
And then obviously there were a few years, and there was a couple of bad days against Kelly Beggs with Obviously, they were a class team at the time, but we just seemed to freeze a lot of days against them.
That day we the players in front on Tony. I mean, we had about 4 or 5 frees, and we missed them all. And managed boys got a 45 over the bar. And
that's right. That's right. It was sickening.
That's a killer,
Yeah. The closest shave we had that year probably was 94 and the semi-final against Glen. That was you were in charge that year from what I remember, and that was the day that Columbia beat us in the semi-final in Funtra.
Oh yes.
That was a strong side at the time.
Yeah, that was a good side as well, and it was a very good side as well against Glenpies. We bet Glenpies played us after extra time.
That's right, 95.
Famous referee and John.
Famous watch episode.
That was the biggest disappointment, I think, because we had a good side that year.
That's right.
Wasn't playing in myself on the sideline. But I mean, we had that game won.
It was one of them days, one of the days best forgotten.
Dennis played St. Juniors then, I think after that, but your county final was over.
That's right.
But we had we would have taken out, we would have beaten St. Juniors, which we had played them before.
That's right, and having been so close the year before that, there would have been a big hunger to win a championship.
Yeah, it was.
You were obviously you were playing a better reserve that you moved on to Four Masters, Kieran, after a long time travelling up and down. Well, when did yourself and Mary move to Donegal Town?
Oh jeez, it was in
probably in the 80s, was it?
84.
Yeah. You were travelling a long time up and down before you finally give in to the answers to them asking you to sign.
I was travelling up the road a few times, all right.
And
it was pleasant anyway. Because my mother was living there as well at the time, so it was a nice excuse to meet her, to call to her a couple of nights a week.
Yes, of course, yeah.
It was great.
When you started playing up there in Four Masters, I remember the year that it was 2000. It was 2000 the year we won the championship, that you were playing in the reserve final for Four Masters. Beforehand, it was worth 5 or 6 points to Four Masters for support wise. Every time you got the ball there, the crowd were behind you.
Yeah, I was. We won it again. There was one reserve, then again the following year or 2 years later. John O'Shea was in charge. 2001, I think it was 2002.
You obviously managed a lot of teams up there as well, Kieran, over the years.
I coached the under 12s, the under 13s, 14s, 16s, and 18s. The county champion. All one was 2 different teams. One on the 13 championship was Barry Dunning and Carl Lacey and Paul Burke and them. On the 14 was them, and on the 16 and on the 18 was them, and then I went back to Stephen's age group. Well, on the 12, 14, 16, 18 again was them.
Yeah. There's some very strong teams at the time.
We had a very good team, yeah, with a lot of good young quality players. And the 2 teams were very different. The first team I had were big, strong fellas.
Yes.
Whereas the second team was really small pucks. They're all Stephen's height, were only all.
I know.
Just how you play totally different styles of football. One was more direct, with a big run, others pace, moves the ball at speed more, and more grit.
Yes.
We were lucky with, and Stephen's age group had 3 or 4 of them were great engines in them,
There were very strong teams at the time. I remember us falling on their sword a good few times. They were very, very, and we hadn't bad teams at the time ourselves, but they were very strong teams over the years. Kieran, looking back over the years, as I say, it's been a lot. It was a long career, and a lot of highlights. What the things that stick out most in your memory, going back over, say, a long time, playing for both Ardra and Donegal. Would there be any things that really stand out more than others?
Well, I suppose one of the championship 81 is a peak of anybody's career, really.
Yeah.
Apart from winning All Ireland, and there's nothing else.
That's right.
There's thousands of people, thousands of quality footballers got through their life and never won a championship.
That's right.
No, I only won one, but see, at least I've always said I won one.
I know, sure to God, obviously it's the most highlighted in most players' champions. Difference, Kieran, you would have been man always, and I remember many games going in after matches and the crack, and you would always be in the middle of the crack whenever the crack was had after games. It's a different story now, Kieran. Really, that time, football seemed to be a lot more enjoyable.
Oh, yes, I'd say so. I mean, it was, to be unheard of to go home after a game without calling to the local place for a sandwich or something.
That's right.
So usually a few pints and a bit of crack. I mean, we had some great evenings in County and Glencongill and Rorties and Donegal, and
that's right.
After every match, we went socialise with the opposition.
That's right.
We at least we've good friends to this day from around Kilcard and Glens and all that. This because of the socialising afterwards.
That's right. And something's really gone from the game now, and it seems to have gone really too far the other way now. That and as you say, we all have heaps of friends from other clubs because of the going in for the crack after a match.
Yes, I mean the same when they came to Ardra. I mean they went into whatever.
And the Brennans or the Hardys or one of the pubs.
Yeah, well, it was great to have if there wasn't a battle going on the field, it was forgotten about then after a few drinks.
That's right. It seemed to be particularly hard to get out of Glen by all accounts.
Out of Glen?
Yeah,
it was particularly bad now. With a tight episode was on one occasion going around there. It was a driver in front of me left the road on 3 occasions before we got as far as Glengesh.
We'll not name who the driver was, but I think I heard that story before, all right.
Well, let's see who it was now, but he started up behind the barracks and I got that far to hide it from the wife. We've all places to park it behind the barracks.
It was always, in fairness, and more than the Glen boys coming to Ardra, it was the two clubs always pulled very well, and there was always great crack between the two clubs.
Probably was the club we were closest to for some reason, and you'd expected the biggest rivalry, but we were probably right. Two clubs about Kane were similar in nature, and they played their heart out when they could, and after that wasn't good enough. They left it at that.
That's right.
We were about the same, I think. People didn't hold
there was always a mutual respect there. I think more than any other clubs, They
played hard and they played fair, and that was it.
That's right. But a lot of good times games. Obviously, then the club were honoured in 2018 to give you the Hall of Fame award, and it was great to see so many fellas there that night that toiled with you, and a lot of fellas that couldn't be there but would have loved to have been there. It was a great night by everyone.
Well, it was a tremendous night. I mean, I really, really enjoyed it. As you noticed, I was probably the last player in the clubhouse that night.
Yes.
I've never really gone home, maybe never before that. I mean,
I know,
really
surely.
Enjoyed it, and I really appreciated what the club done and done for me that weekend. And particularly all the boys that turned up. Even like Party Car from Glen was great to see you out there.
That's right, yeah. Well, I think Kieran, anyone that turned up to the advances, there was hundreds of others that would have turned up only for different circumstances at the time. But say hopefully, when COVID goes past us and we can get all together, we're hoping to get everybody together for at least one night and hopefully for a weekend to celebrate what's going on over the last 100 years. And obviously you've been a huge part of that, Kieran, and we just want to thank you for coming on today, and no doubt we'll see you in the next, hopefully before the end of the year, we'll be able to meet up, have a pint and a bit of crack, and hopefully, if not this year, sometime in the next 12 months, we'll get together, hopefully, and we can reminisce some more about old times and meet old friends again. So, Kieran, thanks very much. Say hi to Mary and all the family, and we'll see you soon. God bless.
Thank you very much, Sean.